Yo, peace and respect. Hip hop all over the world. John Robinson, Science of Life crew. Yo, I got the new exclusive freestyle. It's on High Off Life TV on YouTube. Go check that out. Like, subscribe, run that up, yo. Word up. Peace.
Let's talk about the education aspect too in tech, man. I mean,
no doubt.
You know.
So peace to Jay Rawls. I should say Dr. Jason Rawls. You know what I'm saying? We have a company actually called JR. It's JR EDU, and we wrote a book a couple years ago called Youth Culture Power. And the intel in the book really is sharing a lot of insight with classroom teachers on how to better engage and connect with young people through their own culture, through their own lens and their window, and just all the cultural capital they walk in the door with every single day. You know what I'm saying? So that's the EDU part. We're active right now, workshopping with teachers and principals all over the country.
That's what's
So,
up.
yeah,
That's
man.
what's up.
Yeah.
And how does your experience, just as a hip hopper, and you bring that into education, man? Like, how does the school boards or the big wigs receive, and how do the children receive it as well, man? And how do you freak it to where it's like you speaking their language to the youth?
I'll say this, man. Of course, there's always going to be pushback, but let's think of the world, right? Like the biggest companies and corporations in the world use hip hop or youth culture's sauce and dynamic to promote and sell the biggest products to the masses. So why doesn't it work in school? You know what I'm saying? So it's that same dynamic that allows the young person, wherever they are, to just see themselves in the lessons and engage and connect with it more. But even more so, just understand the value they already have. I feel like that's what it's the educator's job to do. Allow the young person to identify their value in the journey. And it's really about that learning experience and just having a positive experience with learning and exchange.
Big facts, big facts.
Word
man.
up.
All right, bet. My last question before we get out of here, man. I mean, there's a lot of bar work we just heard. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, good looking, man.
And you always had an interesting pattern in the way you put things together. Let's talk about, how you cook up, man. Like how those thoughts form. Do you start with the end in mind? Do you go linear from beginning to end? And then let's talk about freestyling as well.
Yeah,
how
man.
you weave everything together.
It's, you know what? It's interesting, right? It could be a thought, but it could be I'm driving and I saw a sign. Like I was just spinning the Harlem River Drive, right? That was the way to get to the BX. After the shows, you're driving, you get into the Bronx, you see that Harlem River Drive, and it just was a vibe and a scene, that set. So I took that and ran with it, as well as just the classic jazz joint from Bobby Humphries. So it's sometimes borrowing from vibes or a scene I'm in, or that's something I do a lot. I go to live shows. I haven't done it in a minute, but I used to intentionally go to live shows just for the inspiration, just to catch a vibe, and it's not always literal. You know what I'm saying? It's not always, oh, I heard them say something, let me take that. It was just, I needed to be here and take that energy back, or resetting. That was something, shout out to the supervillain, rest in power. He would reset a lot his creative flows, so maybe he's creating a beat. To step away from that beat, he might mop the floor or play a video game or wash the dishes or, go outside or, and then come back to it with a new fresh ear to be able to just add on the right things. And sometimes as a creative, we think we got to finish the whole thing in one sitting, and that's not true, And I feel like the best creatives, it's a slow bake sometimes, where it's like, you should be able to peel away layers for some time. It shouldn't be, I heard it twice and I know the whole thing. It's like, nah, man, to me, that's disrespectful to the creatives themselves, especially like the writers,
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a slow bake in some regards. A lot of times it can be that, but you're sharp off the top though with the freestyle. So let's talk about freestyling and what that means to actually freestyle, and not the debate of like, whether a freestyle is off the top or if you come prepared, but like the act of freestyling in the moment, whether it be spitting it off the top or just digging into your bag. What is the art of freestyling to you, man?
I feel like it's all of the above you just mentioned, right? Like coming up back in the day, if you heard Big Daddy Kane spit I Get Raw verse to a different beat on the radio, that was considered a freestyle just because he didn't rehearse it to that beat or record it to that beat. It was exclusive, right? Heard here, it's the mashup live, right? from the era I'm from, I ain't gonna front. When I hear freestyle, that literally means off the top improvisation in the moment. It could involve, staple phrases or words that you have and carry with you, but I think it should be something that dictates you in the moment too. Like, to me, those are the best freestyles, where you put yourself in the moment, you're talking about things that are right in front of you, you're mentioning people and just engaging in that way.
Yeah.
But then even, like you said, to come somewhere and just spit something you know already, but it's in a different format or shape and it's not the original, that could be considered a freestyle.
No doubt. How do you unlock a flow state when you when you freestyle, when you're just in your bag? Because sometimes you got to ease into it. Some cats can just fly into it. But I feel like there's a way to unlock a flow state where you really in your bag. And it's like, yo, this cat's going off the top. And it's like,
yeah,
he ain't missing.
That's a great question, man, because those are the things we don't always think about, right? But you saying that, I would say I try to keep it as free as possible, but as dope as it could be. If that makes sense. It's like, I don't want to be locked into any ideas, but I do want, I guess, the code to be start with the freshest things you could say in the moment and build from that.
Yeah.
And then really focus on patterns. I listen to a lot of jazz music and just 70s music with these crazy bass lines and patterns. So it teaches you about that rhythmic MC versus the beat or instrument type of thing. And I think as a freestyler, for me, it became part of my writing process too. Like, even in the car, I may put on a beat or no beat, puts the record on the voice memo on my phone and just go. And then listen to that later, like the game tape, choose ideas from that, and then write to those.
Yeah, because those patterns are like pockets as well, like drum patterns, bass, or if you're an instrument, whether it's a trumpet or bass, or even a drummer's, like finding those different pockets.
Absolutely.
And that can really just unlock where you kind of go from there. So that's wisdom for sure.
Yeah, man. And I think too, it's, again, freestyling, it's practice, not to sound like AI about practice, but it really is. It's about putting yourself on the spot sometimes, something that Science of Life would always do. We made it a point to freestyle every show because it puts yourself on the spot. You're on stage live, you got to rock it for these people. And sometimes we would do it at the end. So it's like, if you don't come off in the freestyle, you end kind of on a whack note. So it's like, damn. So it was that pressure that kept us sharp, but then it was also intentionally staying on it, wanting to get better, wanting to get to the point where, we were at that level.
No doubt.
We came up and saw some of the greatest off-the-top freestylers, man, and yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so I know I said that was my last question, but this is actually my last question.
No doubt.
And this will either I think some of the beat heads either hate you or love you for this answer, right? But, and this is an observation, they may either hate or love me for this, but I feel like a lot of what you see on YouTube nowadays, right, with the producers and the production community, it's so easy to chop and do stuff nowadays, man. But when I go back and I was listening to like your catalogs and the homies, get the cats that really produce and write and rap at a high level, right? Especially with producing, it's more than just chopping the 16th and laying the drums to it, right? I feel like I feel when I hear some of these beats nowadays, there's like this an essence that's missing in the way it just sounds. And it could be in the gear that's used, but then I just feel like there's something that this newer generation may not get, or it's just some sauce that's missing, some soul that's kind of missing. What do you think that is, if you even agree to that point at all? But like, what do you think is kind of missing, and what advice would you give to just capture that sound and that essence, man? Because a lot of the, like, even the snares that y'all choose and use, and just the when y'all are sampling jazz records, like, it just sounds different. I feel like y'all picking points that actually captures the essence of the record that you sampled versus just the first 5 seconds of a record, man. So it's just something that's missing that I can't put my finger on, and I figured I'd ask you right here.
I'll tell you the first thing that's missing, and this is a gem. Again, I got to quote the super villain, man. Rest in power. Doom used to always say, man, don't sample it unless you listen to the whole song. Straight up. You don't, like you said, you don't know what's in the middle of the record, or 3/4 or, a quarter way in. It could be the illest little thing that you hear, and then it teaches you about the parts and then the change ups, and so it's not really good practice to sample the first 5 seconds or the first thing you hear real quick. But I think I wouldn't call it something missing more than I would call it different, right? And if something were missing, I feel like it would be the stories that connect the dots, like if you're young and you're making beats in a certain realm and you don't know who the founding fathers of that realm is, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's just like me making music, not trying to go back and find out for real, like even beyond just jazz and soul, like the blues, and go back to the beginning of when this thing started here, then I'm doing myself a disservice. I can't say that I'm a music guy if I'm not studying the space. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that's another thing, right? There's no mentorship, apprenticeship that's normalized anymore. You know, for us, it was kind of organic, where we just respected the pioneers just because of the time and era we were in. That's who we heard. Though on the radio, you heard your heroes. I heard Run DMC and Big Daddy Kane and Eric B. and Rakim and all of that on the radio for the first time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So now we're in a time where it's different. The display is different, and technology makes it more microwave, where everything's so, and the slow bake is leaving. And that process of saying, yo, take your time, I feel like the world, technology, and society is forcing you to create differently. Even as myself, where as much as the slow bake is cool, I can't take but so long because it's so much to catch up and keep the relevance going and the momentum. So I think it's just a different time where people don't spend as much time in the creations as they used to. But I'll say this, as a young creative, don't cheat yourself on the blueprints. There's blueprints there. You don't have to follow every single one, but why not look at the masterful blueprints that are there and take and learn and gain these perspectives and pour them into your own? It'll only make your thing way more powerful, and that to me is the point. They're called the masters for a reason. They demonstrated the standard of what we pulled from and changed and rearranged and made our own. But the reality, Mike, is there's nothing new under the sun. It all comes from the same tree. It's just different as it evolves,
Evolution, baby. Respect. Man, great episode. I think they're going to love this one, man. Thank you so much, brother, for being here.
Thank you,
Getting
man.
busy, sharing some wisdom, man. Shout out to Xander on the cam.
Yes.
High Off Life, Live Hip Hop Daily, of course. Subscribe to Live Hip Hop Daily. Subscribe to High Off Life TV at Mike Sick World if you want to find me on social media. We about to take this thing on the road, man. We about to go on a little tour. Pennsylvania, shoot like 10 episodes out there. We got a lot of dope guests that are going to be up there and out here as well, man. So we're very excited to close out 2022 here. Live Hip Hop Daily and High Off Life.
Yeah.
Oh, look, battery low. Yeah.
Right on time.
We have an indicator now, We didn't even know if it lets you know what's really good, but shout out, man. Shout out to SP Heads too, man. Production communities all around the world. MCs, writers, and producers. MC/producers all around the world, man. We did this for y'all. Like, subscribe, get at us, man. John Robinson, Science of Life. Your boy Mike Sick, Z Rich. We out. Peace.
Peace.